Welcome again to Breaking Ground, your window on agriculture in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm your host, Roger Monder. Welcome to the show. On this week's show, we will visit two farms that are owned by Newfoundlanders who did well working away on the mainland, but decided to come back to the island and take a chance on farming. Tony Benoit worked in Ontario for over 25 years. Together with his wife, he decided to come home to the Port-au-Port Peninsula, where many friends and family members farmed there before him. The dream hasn't faded a bit, and indeed is rubbed off on two local people who, after they spent their time on the mainland, decided to come home and help Tony on the farm. They have absolutely no regrets. It's much the same for Ken and Nita Abbott. After developing very successful careers in Ontario, they felt they needed a change. While buying and cultivating and farming, Mint Brook pretty much fit that bill. Starting up the operation has been a capital investment challenge, but already they feel comfortable that they can make it work. From a lifelong interest in winemaking and business management, Winston Jennings has given Twillingate its one and only winery. He now manages Auk Island Winery, a facility he once owned himself. It's those years of business experience and knowledge of what local berries have to offer that has made the winery the great success it is today. And Restaurant 21 chef Brian Abbott will prepare an unforgettable meal for all of us to see. Cooking host Ann Budgell has offered up her kitchen, and with good reason. She gets to taste the results in person. Now that looks like a pretty good lineup to me. Why not stay tuned? We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, and I'm glad to see you're still with us. Well, it's off to the Port-au-Port Peninsula to visit Emile Farms and owner Tony Benoit.
Tony Benoit is a dreamer, but he's also a doer. After working in Ontario for 25 years, he'd had enough. Newfoundland was calling him back home.
Off and on, maybe about 25 years in Ontario, and I worked in construction. I worked in factories, and then one day I just got tired, and I told my wife, I said, well, maybe we could move back to Newfoundland and start something. She said, my good gosh, she said, start what? I said, I don't know. I said, I'd like to start something. And so we got back here and we've done some research, and farming was one of the research that we were looking into, and the potential was there on a small scale. And so we started on a small scale about 5.5 years ago. That's when we returned back to Newfoundland, and then we started getting a little bigger, and now it's becoming a part of a good life.
But Tony had a good head start. The land he's cultivating now once was his father's farm. As a matter of fact, there were many farms in the area.
Well, my dad was a farmer, and not a big scale farmer, but there's a lot of other farmers around this place, but they're dying out to the point of, it's the land and the age and everything else is creeping up on them, and so it was quite a few farmers around here farming vegetables and livestock and everything, and they made their living on it anyway, and a little bit of fishing. So I figure, well, we're not going to live rich around here, but we'll keep plugging along and hope to God, like Blaze says, we can make a living and stay here.
Tony's attitude is infectious, and it's rubbed off on two young farmers from the Port-au-Port Peninsula. J.P. Kerfont is involved in all aspects of the farm. He helps bag the potatoes and eventually sells them to local customers. He loves working the farm and tells us why he came back.
I was getting ready to come home from PEI. Didn't like it up there, working the fish plant, didn't like it. And then I was getting ready to go to New Brunswick. And then Tony just gave me a call. I said, looking for work? I said, yeah, so getting ready to go. He said, you start tomorrow. And so here I am.
It was much the same for Janet Felix. She also is involved in many aspects of the farm. She drives the tractor, helps with the harvest, and of course, works picking and bagging potatoes. Potatoes are the mainstay for this farm, mainly russets, but Tony also grows some reds and blues. And is Tony proud of his potatoes?
This is the best potato you're ever going to get.
I guess a person can call themselves successful if they get to fulfill their dreams. Well, here's another couple who've done much the same thing. Ken and Nita Abbott left rewarding jobs in Ontario to come back to Newfoundland and try their hand at farming. Let's have a look.
Being white-collar workers in Ontario for 21 years is a sure way to prepare yourself to own and operate a farm in Newfoundland, or so it would seem. Newfoundlanders Ken and Nita Abbott own LA Farms in Mintbrook, Gambo. They left flourishing careers on the mainland to try their hand at farming.
Our first year we planted 7 acres. Right, so, and we had no clue, but we were very fortunate. We had a lot of good people help us out, and we had a farmer, his name was Mundan Lane, and he came and helped us to run the implements, you know, like the seeder, setting up a precision seeder and getting your carrots planted, the potato digger, and he just came and helped us, even showed us what to do to clear one piece of land that we had to do for a new turnip. He came and showed us. He came back in 3 days and couldn't believe that Ken and I had cleared an acre of land, and we just had an old Massey Ferguson that really didn't function too well.
Farming in Newfoundland has changed dramatically over the past few years. An old Massey Ferguson tractor just won't cut it anymore. One thing you can bank on when you buy into a farm is the need for capital investments.
At first, the first couple of years that we were at this, like, we held back because we wanted to make sure that, you know, we knew it was a big investment if you're going to get serious about this. So at first we held back, and then, you know, at one day we sat down and we cranked through some numbers, and you know, every time we go to purchase something, we say, how many turnips do we need to sell for this, afford this one? So since then, we've come into new John Deeres and potato harvester, carrot harvester, rock pickers. We've done 3 buildings since we've started, and washing machine, processing machine, right? So we've come a long ways.
The first year it was 7 acres. Now it's 25, with plans to go to 50 to 60 acres. LA Farms grows a wide variety of produce, which includes the traditional carrots, potatoes, beets, and cabbage, to the relatively newer crops of broccoli, cauliflower, even a newer Romanesco green called broccaflower. The high quality of Newfoundland products is but one reason why farming is facing a bright future.
I think it has to do with a worldwide trend that people really want to buy local. So finally, for Newfoundland and Labrador, where we were only producing like 10% of our total production in vegetables, you know, people appreciate what you're doing now because they know it hasn't traveled. Everybody's conscious about the earth, and so it's you know, for many reasons, not only to Newfoundland and Labrador, but, you know, we're probably going to be the biggest benefactors of that trend.
There seems to be no half measures with that couple. I'm sure they'll make it work. But there's more to come. When we come back, we're going out to Twillingate. Welcome back. As promised, we're off to Twillingate to see how it got its one and only winery. We'll also find out why its wine is in such great demand.
Sometimes I look back at it and I wonder why the heck I ever did it. But I suppose you know, if you got the spirit for business in your blood, and sometimes you tend to gamble a little bit that a lot of people wouldn't do. And I guess that was something that you kind of got to be a little crazy to do anyway, and I guess I had that craziness in me, so here I am today.
That about sums it up for former owner and now general manager of Auk Island Winery, Winston Jennings. In 1996, Winston fulfilled a dream when he began the process of developing and opening a winery in Twillingate. With a strong interest in winemaking and a history of business ownership, Winston took the plunge.
Yeah, well, some of the things kind of happened that I guess sort of helped me along the way there. That this building, for example, was up on public tender at the time, so we bought this for only a fraction of what you would get a building this size for at the time. So then once the building was in place, it was just a matter of getting some equipment, and I don't say that lightly because nothing come easy, but after you make the first and the second step, is kind of difficult to go back. So you're kind of gone too far, and you kind of got to go on then at that point, right?
But really, at the heart of this story is not the winery and how it started, but it's the berries that grow on the many barrens of the province.
To say that I have become very educated in with respect to what we have out there. We have a very, very valuable resource, and there's a lot of people that I don't think realize how good that those berries are and what the value of these berries and fruit is to the human body.
It's those highly valued berries that form the base for a highly valued wine. But it has its own unique process, as Winston explains.
So we take the berries and we mix up our solution of sugar and water, and we add our few little secret ingredients that we don't tell anybody. And we had our berries, and of course we had our yeast and our yeast nutrient, and we let the wine ferment until we've reached the level of alcohol and sweetness that we require for our blueberry wine. It gets the blueberries do go through a press, and we press the berries, and all that juice goes in with our batch, of course, and we filter the wine. It always gets filtered, and of course we do a fair bit of testing to make sure that the product is exactly what we want. After it's tested and any minor adjustments is made, then we're ready to bottle, which is of course what we're doing today.
One of those secret ingredients is not so much a secret, but nonetheless unique to winemaking in general. The water is not from a natural spring, but water from the many icebergs that dot Notre Dame Bay in the summer.
I had got into some what we call iceberg wines, and what that is, instead of, I mentioned earlier we had sugar and water to the berries. In this case, we had iceberg water, and of course, that is what we're bottling today is some iceberg blueberry wine.
It was just last year that Winston sold his winery to Grant Young, who owns the Down Home Shop and Gallery in St. John's. This vibrant, multifaceted business fits well with the winery in Twillingate. The many tourists who come here every year find a very satisfying destination. A destination partly based on the many berries we can find everywhere on our barrens.
This is where I get to drink on the job. I just love the blueberry wine. Why not buy some the next time you're at the liquor store? It's time for a short break. See you in 2. We're back in Ann Budgell's kitchen again with Chef Brian Abbott. Brian never fails to please his customers at Restaurant 21, and here's why.
Hi everybody, I'm Ann Budgell. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm here with Brian Abbott, who's a chef, a cooking instructor, and the owner of Restaurant 21 in St. John's.
Good day.
And Brian, tell me all about the ingredients and what you're going to make for us today.
Today it's a very springtime dish. We're doing a local corn roasted salsa, and we also have some roasted chicken with a caramelized onion and bacon bread pudding.
Oh, I want to get the details on that bread pudding. That's something new.
It's a very easy dish, very simple. It's very from the classic way of making a sweet bread pudding. Basically take the sweetness out. So we add some bacon and some nice caramelized onions, which actually add a little sweetness to it. And you soak your bread as normal in a custard mix, which is eggs and milk or cream, and that's it.
Kind of like a stuffing, but not quite.
Kind of like a bound stuffing. Yeah, and when you can do it in a small cookie tray or a roasting pan, and when it comes out, if you let it cool slightly, you can cut it in pretty much different shapes.
Gee, I bet that would be good all by itself.
It's pretty tasty just by itself.
Okay, nice side. But let's get down to the salsa, roasted corn, local corn.
Local corn, yeah. We cleaned it up. We took all the skin off it. I cooked it lightly, about 6 to 8 minutes in some boiling water with a little bit of salt. Then when I take it out, I dry it and I do it on the barbecue.
And do you do that for the look of it or for the taste of it?
No, well, a bit of both actually. It's something a little different. And the color, the barbecue, everybody likes the barbecue. It adds this smokiness, charcoaly taste to it. And that's what I was looking for. And the salsa to go with the go with the roast.
We love that smoky taste, don't we? I think that's a primal thing.
Yeah, we like the barbecue.
Back to our cave people days.
Everybody like the open fire.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea behind the salsa. It's very easy to make. I go through this really nice. So we take some red onion. We only want a couple tablespoons of this.
Once you've cooked the corn, that's all the cooking involved, right?
That's it. It's a salsa, yeah. And like I said, the only reason why you would cook it, if you eat corn when it's raw, it's really starchy. And where we're not going to do any other cooking, you need to do that first.
So how much onion would that be? Not even quite a quarter cup?
Not even quarter, yeah. You know, you can play with this recipe. That's the thing with this. You know, if you like lots of onion, you add more onion. If you like lots of peppers, you add more peppers. But I want to keep it kind of all in ratio with the amount of corn. It is a roasted corn salsa, so I want more corn than all the other ingredients.
We're doing some of this for color too, I think, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, this adds a lot of sweetness to it and different textures.
One little tomato.
One little tomato. Actually, I'm only going to use about a half a tomato in this. Oops.
I can already get a nice smell from the pepper and the onion.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes me think of Mexico.
Salsas, yeah, it's very traditional Central American.
Well, I'm really glad that we're learning all about other people's food, because it gives us new options for preparing the food that we have ourselves.
That's right, yeah. And you know, I guess in Mexico and Central America, they don't cook most of their food. It's so hot down there. I guess they don't need to use the stove. So any break from not using a stove is sometimes a good thing.
What have you got there?
I have some fresh mint here that I got off a local farmer here, and I'm going to roll it up a little bit.
Tiny little pieces.
Julienne, yeah, it's basically chiffonade is the technical term.
Makes it smell nice also.
Yeah.
So all of this is going to go in this bowl, is it?
So all that's going to go in that bowl, and we're going to just add a little bit of garlic. We have some rice wine vinegar to mix in, just a little touch to give it a little zing to it, along with some lemon juice, some salt and pepper, and that's it. Yeah, I'm not adding a lot of people when they do salsas, they add some heat to it. Yeah. But I'm not going to add any heat.
Now, I want to see you cut that corn.
Corn is not that hard.
Go for it.
Here we go.
This is corn on the cob, off the cob.
Corn on the cob, off the cob. So we just go down like that.
So you're going to have to take a fork or something, or your fingers, and break those up.
We would just break those up.
The niblets.
To get the niblets, exactly, yeah. It's kind of hard to cook these when they're niblets. They fall through
the tongs you have to have for that job are so small.
The tiny tongs, yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it for this.
So this is all going to go in the bowl.
That would all go in the bowl.
Dump it in there, will you?
We would assemble that.
Come on, dump.
Dump it in. I'll try not to make a mess here. No? So all that will go in the bowl. That's it. And then the corn.
Yeah, that's a minute's work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So once you've done that, this is what it looks like.
That is the finished product there.
It smells terrific too. I love the smell of that.
It's really fresh and got that little charcoal taste to it. So.
Well, I want to see you do the plate.
Yes.
So we should clear this stuff up.
We'll put all this to one side. Actually, I'm going to need this cutting board to cut my chicken on it.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. The chicken is going to be cut up before presented.
Yeah. That there. There.
What did you do with the chicken? Just broil it?
I just actually pan-seared it in a pan, and then I finished it in the oven till it reached this internal temperature of about 165, 170.
Okay.
Took it out and let it
There's our little piece of bacon and caramelized onion bread pudding.
Bread pudding, yeah. And now I'm going to you let your chicken rest. It makes it so much easier to slice. As you can see, I'm not having any issues here. Instead of taking it right out of the oven and just trying to cut it right away. So I'll put that little guy, should stand there.
Oh, okay. This is the art part.
This is the art part, yeah. Well, make it look really nice here. And now we got some salsa.
Here goes some salsa.
Yeah.
A liberal helping of salsa.
Yeah, I'm going to put a nice bit of salsa on this, because this is what this dish is all about. A little bit of the juice on there. And I also did a little butternut squash mash. Just add some extra
And that would be served cold or warm, or?
You could serve it warm or cold. This is slightly warm here now.
Oh, I like this technique.
This is a little quenelle.
Oh,
there you go.
Pretty.
And I took the carcass. I took a whole chicken. I took the carcass off. From that, I made a stock, and I just reduced it down and got a little jus.
One last little drizzle of jus.
A jus. Or gravy. Just a little bit of that on the plate there like this.
So beautiful.
It's so tasty. You can finish it off with even like a little bit of little pieces of, little piece of mint, just to enhance it again a little bit.
Gorgeous. Well, Brian,
There you go.
irresistible.
It's a very
Lovely
nice,
job.
very tasty, very spring, very
Yeah.
vibrant dish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sure a bottle of blueberry wine from Oak Island Winery would go well with that meal. On next week's show, we're going to delve into the horticultural side of agriculture. The infamous chinch bug has often been the plague to many lawns in eastern Canada. Research leader Nancy Hudson and her assistant Susan Morgan are involved in finding practical ways of ridding laws of the destructive insect. What makes their work more noteworthy is that they are using a non-chemical approach to solve the problem. Still in a research vein, Samir Debnath of the Atlantic Cool Climate Crop Research Center in Mount Pearl is investigating the adaptability of medium and high bush blueberry plants for Newfoundland. To date, experiments have proven to be very positive. These plants, originally from the state of Maine, are very prolific and lend themselves to easy harvesting. Chef Kitty Drake is back in Ann Budgell's kitchen with another tasty dessert. There's no end to Kitty's creative and unique approach to making a dessert to remember. She never fails to surprise. Well, that's it for this week. See you back here in 7 days.